Hello, my name is Douglas Bloch. Welcome to your Depression Recovery channel, where each week we talk about coping strategies and practical tools to heal from depression and anxiety. The title of this video is called After the Pain, the Joy. What do I mean by that? I mean that every adversity contains within it the seed of an equivalent or greater good. Even in the case of the lotus flower, which is worshipped in the East, it grows in the depths of the muds, meaning that something good or redeeming can come out of our darkest experiences. This was certainly true of my depression. When I awoke from the nightmare of depression, I noticed that there were certain good things that it had left in its wake. The black cloud of depression had a silver lining. The first of these blessings has been compassion. As a result of my depressive episode, I have developed a deeper compassion for all those who suffer, especially those who suffer from mental health disorders. Before my episode, I might have said about a person, hasn't he gotten over his neurosis yet? Or hasn't he cured himself of that addiction? What's wrong with him? What's wrong with her? Now when I see a person who is in pain, I simply smile and I say, brother, sister, I know what it's like to be at the mercy of your demons. I bless you and I pray for you and I wish you well and I hope you find your way home. On the eve of my second hospitalization, I was really nervous. And I remember a friend telling me, hey, think of this hospitalization as a training ground for finding new ways to learn how to cope. In many respects, my entire illness was a training ground in learning how to cope and manage intense pain. So this has then brought a second gift of depression, and that is I have gained certain skills in the fire, in the trenches, that I now can use to create serenity and emotional stability in my life. If I hadn't gone through something that intense, I wouldn't have become so adept at managing my pain and my ups and downs. I kind of like what Nietzsche said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. One coping skill that I've really gained has to do with the tendency to worry about the future. Whenever I start to think about the future and catastrophize and say something like, well, how am I going to live during my retirement? I recall that old strategy I used when I was suicidal. I say, cancel, cancel, and I quickly bring myself back to the present and the here and now, and my distress goes away. So again, learning how to respond to suicidal thoughts of catastrophe has helped me to learn how to respond to other similar thoughts of catastrophe in the here and now. In addition, I've gained a new perspective on the meaning of distress. Whenever I'm stuck in a traffic jam, instead of getting uptight, I say, hey, what's the big deal? You almost died. You almost committed suicide. I'm reminded of the saying, don't sweat the small stuff. Hey, after you've been to the brink of death and looked into the abyss, everything is small stuff. It's no big deal. It can be handled. Another way of saying this was communicated by the author Martha Manning in her book Undercurrents, in which she describes a hideous depression. And by the way, she was helped and cured by ECT. And this is what she said regarding her own episode. She said, quote, my baseline for awful will never be the same, unquote. In other words, once you've been to a near-death experience, everything else is small stuff. Once you've suffered in that way that you suffer when you're really in a bad depressive episode, everything else is a piece of cake. Finally, having my own near-death experience made me realize what I value in life. I realized that the most important things in life are not things at all. What I most value is the love of my family and friends and the joy of serving others. In conclusion, I'd like to say this to anybody out there who's suffering from a severe depression or any dark night of the soul experience, and that is, hang in there. Things will get better. And one day, when you're on the other side, you'll be able to look back and see the gifts that your depression has brought you, just like I've seen mine. I'd like to conclude this idea with a wonderful quote from Paul the Apostle. Yet what we suffer now is nothing compared to the glory that shall be revealed in us. In other words, the pain now is simply a precursor to the joy that follows. So remember this. It will give you the perseverance to hang in there, knowing that one day this will all shift and you will be able to look back and see the blessings that you've gained from your ordeal. This has been Douglas Bloch. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something from it. If you want to learn more about this work, go to healingfromdepression.com or click on the links in the closing credits. And until we meet again, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. And remember, the pain now will be followed by joy.